you see the topic up there. This is actually a title, the title of the video up there. This is actually a title for a topic that it started on the Bumble King forums, and believe it or not, was actually continued on or brought forward to the Sega forums. And I'll provide a link to both down below. But the question is, basically, is Ian Flynn doing a better job than past writers, past and previous Sonic writers? Well, before I get into my explanation, and I do apologize if this may go into 2 videos, because this is a topic that honestly I've been waiting to talk about. I've been waiting for someone to talk about. But let's take a look. The one person that brought it over from the Bumble King forums, I'm not going to pronounce the name, I'll just provide the link down below like I said. This is what they said though, and I quote, "From the Bumble King forums, this thread is relevant from there. I thought I'd bring the topic here for Sega formers members' opinions on the topic." Excuse me. Now this is their explanation to the topic, if you will. This is what they said. This is what this individual says, and I quote. So the question at hand, compared to other writers, to other Sonic writers, Ian Flynn. This is this individual's response, the ones that brought it over. And this is what they say, and I quote. "Personally, he writes more for others in a general kid fandom sense than adult, which is cool if he knew what he was doing. As such, his negatives outweigh the positives, even though I will admit he's made Amy cooler than any writer has done. For one thing though, he sucks at suspense and seriousness, especially characters that are personally custom made for those types of stories like Shadow, for example, or most of Silver arcs." Excuse me. Ian doesn't know how to write Shadow, period. He fails at making the character feel genuinely ruthless and dark, especially on the drama side, where his story was wrapped up in the end chapters of I Am All of Me. Mandates or not, Shadow is by far the most flanderized character in Archie, progressing from a loner to Agent Felt Rush. The character doesn't act on his usual killer instincts to find a solution. He's more hesitant to fight. No longer is he a composed figure of mystery or neutral party based on what he feels is right or wrong. He's too misguided and not as self-assuring as he is. And finally, not a single character respects his serious demeanor and mocks him as the resident emo. Thanks, Sonic. Continuing on. For Silver, he's pretty much the Hank Pym of Sonic Archie. No one gets called out for being a suckfest as much as Silver. Usually, since he's so misinformed and goes by the book, this causes him to make oversights on his judgment to save the future. But instead, he gets picked on and told off by people who don't have the patience. He needed to team up with a ton of characters in the end to get some credit to set things right, instead of solving things on his own like he did in Sonic 2006, and usually trusting his own righteous path, usually helped by Sonic characters. Excuse me. How many times does Ian have to make Silver so incompetent in saving the future that eventually he goes emo from being told he can't do shit on his own without a team? Ian so far made Sonic too douchey, if that was possible. Mocking Jeffrey St. John had in court, being taken from him, purposely out of line when Silver accused him of blaming Antoine as the traitor, which could have proved he was innocent, instead of beating him up and shattering Silver's confidence. Needlessly putting himself in front of Tails' life instead of his parents, and supporting Tails in his hour of need. Did I mention he put himself above his real mother and father? The plot lines most mostly lack depth and substance. Action is everywhere, and the plot lines wrap up to solve nothing of intrigue and get to the next arc. The comics might as well be labeled wrap-up arc, since writers do not leave a lot of unresolved plot lines in their runs. Eggman is like the most overexposed character so far, meaning Ian has a hard-on for the guy when he wants to have a character meant to be disliked and hatred. Again, I'll provide a link below if you can't understand what I'm reading here, because even I can't understand it. So far, his portrayal of Eggman is nothing more than a glorified anti-hero who takes Sonic's douchiness and makes it into a villainous yet humorous satire. Okay, Eggman is charismatic. What about the other villains, Ian? When's the last time Mogul or Fintivius did anything on Eggman's level of charisma? And finally, the main reason I can't stand writers' work, or Ian's work, the many Sonic/Shadow recolor super beings that are apparently at the same damn level as Sonic/Shadow or more. I accept Knuckles, he's a classic, and one of Sonic's first rivals and friends. I'm damn sure hatred how he became the crapfest back in Pender's era. But still, you take a one-shot characters like Scourge and Shard, then react them to Sonic clones, and then have them beat down someone like Shadow and Metal Sonic in one shot, and have them go super and reveal all the special features that make them stronger than Sonic, or revel in all the special features that make them stronger than Sonic. Which that means all of Sonic's feats when he fights them are PIS, or PIS as they put it. I also don't like the appeal of having more hedgehogs fighting each other. The only special fight between hedgehogs is Sonic and Shadow. Shadow especially is super weak in the spats, when this guy is supposed to progress as much as Sonic in power and skills. That means Ian doesn't stay true to the character, and Sonic is already overpowered, having him being Chaos Incarnate as well as the supreme hero of all the Sonic multi-universal zones. Shadow's ultimate life bomb hype is subpar, especially when being ageless and immune to sickness is all he's going for him, and even that's not as special as Sonic being the embodiment of chaos. Shadow's going to live forever and yet watch others be superior to him in chaos control, especially given the fact that he's got pwned by Julie Sue recolor in an alternate comic. Pwned, that is. Silver seems to take Shadow's hype and amp it up to 1,000,000 using telekinesis to take chaos energy from Irreject and channel to use against him. Without his super form, that means Silver is the most overpowered Archie character. Tails was supposed to do this, and Knuckles, in the past, was that. That means Amy is next, and then Cream. Not after Blaze though, JK. So Ian makes characters into gods only to have the PIS pwned them by the main Sonic cast. Oh, and he nerfs Shadow. Well done, sir. Omega is a lethal joke character. Rouge is incredibly vain and selfish, and that they still manage to be more entertaining than Shadow. Not a complaint. And the Archie cast is unbearable to read. Sally is the next Jean Grey. Antoine is not as fun as she used to be. Roto is gay. Bunny is bland. Julie Sue is nothing without Knuckles. The Overlanders made Shadow the whipping boy, and there's more that I gripe about that I won't. So these are my opinions. As for other writers, Bowlers knew how to write Sonic's dialogue the best of any of the Sonic characters. Penders created a beloved character by today's standards. Julie Sue Gallagher was hilarious. What do you guys agree or disagree on Ian compared to other writers? Well, I'll get into that in the second part because of my time limit. But let me just say this. When you see whose name this is, the username of this person, you might get an idea of why they talk about more, or they kind of mention Shadow more so than they do any other character, or how Ian treats Shadow. So I'll be back with part 2 in a little bit.